What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the SHIPIT Nation Week 5 Cash Game Show. An hour earlier this week. Got some things to take care of this afternoon, so we're getting started an hour earlier than normal. But as always, myself, Title, will be here breaking down the cash plays for Week 5. Goal is kind of to develop that player pool, talk about some guys at each position that are cash eligible. And then obviously over on our site, shipitnation.com, we'll provide 4 core plays for DraftKings, 4 core plays for FanDuel, and then obviously you can get in our Discord and then ask any additional questions that you may have. But Week 5, there's, early on in the year, the injury stuff starts out a little slow, starting to ramp up a little bit. So there are some injury things, and we'll touch on those as we go throughout the show. But I'll bring in my guy, Title. Any initial thoughts for Week 5 cash games here?
Week 5 is the first week bye week start, so we're going to have to get used to a little shorter slate. 10 games on this slate, 11 on FanDuel because it's Sunday night. 10's pretty solid number. Afternoon only, 4 games. I really like that. I always late swap ability, just afternoon slate in general, so that's nice. We do have London game as well this starting this week, so 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We'll have content up for that. We'll have a quick hit for that as well, so definitely check out that. Prize is usually pretty good. Nothing better than waking up. I mean, for me, I wake up at like 5:15, but right before the show, getting some football on. Always a good time sweating those teams during the show. So, yeah, initial thoughts is team total or over-unders wise, a couple in a tier of their own, then some pretty gross ones. Other than that, no, we'll go position by position like always.
Yeah, and it is nice. I guess that is one thing to point out that the buys have started this week, which has resulted in obviously fewer games. I do kind of like that. I mean, it's you get those full 12 gamers. It's a lot to monitor. I think it leads to more standout obvious plays. The more teams you bring into the mix, so down to 10 can kind of consolidate things a little more. So I definitely like the 10 versus the 12 or 13. But yeah, like I said, we're gonna hop into it right out of the gate here. We're gonna talk quarterbacks. We'll go each site. We'll start on DraftKings. For quarterbacks. And I have our optimizer up called the Shiptimizer, obviously part of our product over here at shipitnation.com, the most affordable optimizer in the industry. And the goal of this is obviously to help you ship, and you can use it for cash games as well. One thing I always like to do is just come in here, sort by projected value. This is our projections in here. So I just have it sorted by value. Trevor Lawrence is the top option. I don't really love him for cash games. I mean, he is a pretty shitty NFL quarterback. Could he get it done for cash? Sure. But the guy that stands out is definitely the one right below him when you have it sorted by projection. And Jaden Daniels just seems so safe. Still under 7K. Has had, I think, 3 games, 3 out of 4 games, at least 25 fantasy points. The rushing upside's massive. Passing, he looks very solid. I mean, just looks like a very polished NFL quarterback at this point, which is pretty crazy. But 6,800, I think we can probably make it work this week. And honestly, like looking at the other guys around him when sorted by value, I mean, I probably would just find a way to get to him. Now, if we just go projected points, sort by that, Lamar Jackson's the only one on the slate that's beating him at 7,500. I think Lamar Jackson's a fine option. I think we'll probably talk about him a little bit more when we get into the FanDuel conversation. But this week, I think I probably feel pretty good with Jaden Daniels at the position. Give me your thoughts on him, and then anyone else you think that might be viable here this week. Oh, got him, man. That's usually my move, not your move. That's usually the hoopster move.
That's bad. Yeah, that's the hoopster move.
That's
I knew right. You spoke right away. Strike one. I think DraftKings quarterback is, as of now, the hardest position on either sites that we're going to talk about. And meaning, I think, like if certain injury news pops up throughout the week, like Joe Mixon isn't going to play this week. Unfortunately, that game's not even on this slate, I believe. Let me check real quick. Oh, it is. Cam Akers is on the slate. Maybe that'll.
Yeah, man.
Some of the Rams.
Cam Akers thing. We'll have that conversation when we get to running back. But
5'5".
Bad. Oh, he's looking terrible.
Yes. I'm just looking at potential value because I think there's quarterbacks in all tiers you can go. Lamar, as we have the highest projected points on the slate, in a great spot against Cincinnati. Implied for one of the highest team totals on the slate. He has all the rushing upside. If you can't fit him, like you said, Daniels for 700 less, totally good with. Everything checks the boxes, meaning he's just a stud. The offense is moving the ball, the rushing upside. It's hard to poke holes in that, but if you can't afford them, I think it's dropping all the way down to like a Brock Purdy in the highest total game against the Cardinals. Points should be scored on both sides. 6.2K seems very fair. You can't afford him. Actually, him and Geno are pretty close too, but man, they've been throwing the football a good amount. Walker obviously fell in the box 3 times, but I guess, do you think the Giants can score points and keep up? Might be the knock on Geno. So
I don't mind Geno. I actually like him. Like if you're going below 6K, I mean, I think he's definitely the guy that I'd have the most interest in.
Him or Purdy?
Yeah, probably Purdy. But I mean,
Purdy, yeah.
Sometimes the $300 matters. And if it mattered, I'd be totally fine just going with a guy like Geno. You have a little bit of rushing upside as well. They're projected to score a lot of points at home. Like I'd be fine going with someone like Geno. For sure.
Yeah, Geno's definitely in play. And then I think if you can't, or if you want to punt the position, it sounds gross, but Deshaun Watson, like the Commanders defense is a team you want to pick on. You know the offense is going to move the football, force Deshaun into more dropbacks. It's gross, but 5.3K, some rushing upside. He got called back. I mean, so last game, 18 2 games ago, 13 last game, and he had a long touchdown called back. So that could have been another 18 spot at 5.3K if it gets you spend ups and what you like in other positions. And why I'm saying it's the hardest right now is because we'll talk FanDuel. It's almost always a spend up position. I think it's Lamar more than likely. DraftKings, though, Lamar range, Purdy range, Watson range. I think there's options at all 3, and I will not be filling out quarterback first.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Over on FanDuel, like you said, I mean, you can always, I think, make the case more so for spending. The pricing tends to be a little softer, and the rushing upside is very important on FanDuel. So I have it sorted by just projected points here. You have Lamar, you have Jaden, the top 2. I think it's a perfect situation where if it all works out, we are able to play Jaden Daniels over on DK, and you're playing both sites, like one of those natural hedge situations where you play Jaden Daniels over on DK, you get Lamar on FanDuel. And honestly, like there's not much of a price break when you go down to like the next tier of guys after Lamar. And it's pretty rare as well where you see our highest projected guy in terms of actual fantasy points. When you sort by value, he's right there as number 2 as well. So that should tell you something. He's our highest projected guy. And when you sort by value, he's showing up as number 2. So I think he's probably a priority sort of play this week. Like if not going to this top tier, who are some other guys that you might be interested in? I mean, again, Trevor Lawrence is showing up as a good value, but for cash, that's relatively risky.
Yeah, I will say I do like the spot for Lawrence and GPPs this week for the Jags, but that game in general. But cash game is probably not the button you want to click. I think you're probably playing Lamar more than likely. If not, you want significant amount of savings, and I think you're back in the Purdy boat at 1,100 savings at 7,700. Geno's 7,400 if the 300 you need. I think that's the route you go. But I mean, yeah, we're going to get to some of these positions. Especially at wide receiver, there's a lot of decent value on this slate. And again, Mixon not in, like Cam Akers is another bit. Like I think it's Lamar on FanDuel.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. You talked the Cam Akers thing. Let's just go ahead and get into the running back conversation because Joe Mixon just got ruled out not too long ago. The Cam Akers stuff has been so – I don't even know what his price is on FanDuel, but it's
6-2.
been – 6-2. I mean, it's been painful. But the one thing I will say, because I watched a lot of that game, I had a ton of the Houston passing attack last week. Every single drive, they opened up with a run for some damn reason. They're getting nowhere. I mean, it was either like 1 yard, 0, or like negative, and they just kept doing it. So I feel like they want to run the ball. He's 6,200. Like at 62, if he does get in the box, you're kind of free rolling the rest of the way. But like I don't want to really play Cam Akers. I have it sorted. I have it sorted by projected value, but we have a couple other pieces of news that we're definitely waiting on that could change the dynamic of the slate. Jonathan Taylor sounds relatively iffy. We should have more information on that today.
Out.
He is out. The official.
Yeah, he might even be out. He might even be out for a couple weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Well then, that's
Trey Sermon.
Sermon, and then the other one was Brian Robinson Jr. didn't practice or hasn't practiced this week. Austin Eckler, I think we should be good to go. Eckler 6K flat, so I think he would become a priority play. So you kind of have to wait on this position. Kenneth Walker as well didn't practice or practice in a limited fashion. 7,400 at home. They're favored by 7. I think he would be a good play. We have it sorted here by value. Jerome Ford, Stevenson, Chuba Hubbard has a really nice role. When you sort by actual points, Kyron Williams, Jordan Mason, just a very safe workload that you obviously like. The price is getting up there a little bit on FanDuel. Seems like a pretty dynamic position. I think kind of have to wait and see on the Brian Robinson thing for sure. But Eckler at 6K definitely looks nice if he's out. Thoughts here at running back on FanDuel?
Go to receiver and then sort by projected points too. So we have 17-6. Yeah. So we have 18 for Nico, DK, similar pricing. The reason I asked that is Mason and Kyron I think are two of the best plays on the slate, just raw points wise, opportunity, roll, and still below 9K. Like Derrick Henry has the one massive game and is now 9-2 above Mason, above Kyron. Mason even ran bad last week. He had a touchdown call back on the Kittle, which was not a hold, and he still gets there. Like his usage is
some of these flags are just ridiculous. Like stay out of the freaking game. No one wants to see that shit. Like you don't have to do it. You could call holding on every single play in the NFL if you wanted. Like these refs need to realize that and just like pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean the Kyron rolled 19 carries last week, 23 touches, 26 touches the week before, 16, 21. It just feels so safe right there. So, and again, I think when we get to receiver, there's some value. You want to go cheaper? Again, I think Najee Harris is another great play. That's the Sunday night game, not on the DraftKings slate.
Another puke play, but yeah.
Puke play for sure, but the usage was phenomenal last week at 6.5. Again, this is on the Sunday night football game, so it's not included on DraftKings.
Yeah.
The Trey Sermon, he is 5.9K. No Jonathan Taylor gets Jacksonville. I think that's interesting if you want cheaper. Cam Akers 6.2. Probably prefer Sermon for even cheaper than that. Like we've seen what Akers does. Maybe Sermon is a little different. The thing is, like, man, Najee at 6.5 just feels so strong without Jalen Warren. I know it didn't work last week, and he still got you 10 though. Like in the nut low script.
It's true.
The nut low run out, he got you 10.
Yeah, it's a good point.
And Dallas has been awful against the run. So, I
guess it does probably depends what we do at the wide receiver position in terms of. So let's kind of switch it up a little bit and let's just go all the way through FanDuel so we can have a better idea because
I like that.
So far through the first 4 weeks, there's been some like standout absolute locks, but based on conversations so far. Like it seems wide open, we're probably spending at quarterback on FanDuel. The running back position, we like to spend, but there are some value. So let's see what we can get at FanDuel and kind of get a better idea of what we're going to do. Because if you're saving money at the wide receiver position, then you can lock in some of the high-end running backs that we feel secure in their workload. So at wide receiver, I've come in and sorted it by just projected points. And the highest projected guy, we got DK, we got Nico, we got CD at 9.4, we got Jamar Chase at 9.3. Neighbors is going to be out. This hasn't been updated yet.
And Singletary, on that note, Singletary still isn't practicing. They're more, our Neighbors is already out. Singletary seems pretty truly questionable. That's also an interesting spot. Tracy, he is 4.8K.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is interesting. And then, if both those guys are out, like their next guy in line, Wandale 6'1" would be like probably a lock-in, but he's officially questionable as well. Son DeMontre, I think he does play.
Yeah.
So I think you're probably able to save some money at this position. Pickens is shown as a good play. He's been solid 6K flat. DJ Moore 74. Don't necessarily love that all that much, but like Jacoby Myers, Devontae Adams is going to continue to be out. Mari Cooper at 6'2", I never hate. So I think there are some cheaper options here, probably some value. So are you leaning towards some of these value options, or are you leaning towards potentially spending at the wide receiver position on FanDuel?
Yeah, no, I think I'm leaning toward the value right now and feeling good about jamming some of those stud running backs. Again, maybe that changes if Singletary's ruled out, that's Tracy, and then it allows you more spend ups. But some of these guys just look so mispriced. Even Debo at 8K and the highest total on the slates. San Fran's still a little banged up. Like Debo at 8K, I prefer over Nico this week at 8.8, etc. if you wanted to spend. Dropping down, Jaden Reed at 7.2K. With Jordan Love back, I mean, this offense is moving. Reed is very, very involved. The floor seems high. The ceiling's high. I think that is an interesting spot as a spend, but not really a spend for 7.2. Deontay Johnson at 7.1. I mean, if anyone watched that game, his role is absolutely phenomenal with Andy Dalton. And Dalton's throwing dimes out there. So moving the football, I think Deontay Johnson's good at 7.1. Like if he's your highest price receiver, I'm good with it. You mentioned Pickens' price. Seems silly at 6K. Mari Cooper against this awful Washington D at 6.2. I'm in. Michael Pittman, 6.1K. I mean, I would rather it be Flacco. Like Flacco's actually good and can get him the ball. Probably going to be Richardson, it sounds like, but still 6.1 too cheap. Christian Kirk 6.1 too cheap. Brian Thomas 6.3. Watch that game, too cheap. Never did I think Keenan Allen would be 5.8. With all these names I cited, you probably don't even need it. Jacoby Myers, Devontae's out, wide receiver 1 there. So many of these guys down below. Jordan Whittington, 5.4K. I think that's a real cheap piece. You can go without the Puka and Cup, obviously. Whittington has stepped in and pretty much looks like wide receiver 1 on that team for eye test wise. 8 targets last week, 6 catches, had a decent amount of hype in camp. So all these guys, Wendell Robinson with no neighbors at 6.1, like PPR monster. So I'm leaning more saving.
Yeah, I think there's a ton of options, and you could get some more.
He returned.
Okay, yeah, Singletary did return to practice. I mean, yeah, so it takes away the cheap running back, still like Wandale with neighbors out. Over at the tight end position, we have some very soft prices. So, yeah, I mean, probably going to be able to get some spends at running back if you want. I have it sorted here by projected value. Freiermuth at 5.2, I think it's a fine option. Cole Kmet 5.2, I definitely prefer Freiermuth. Zach Ertz 5K flat. Bowers 63. And our guy Landa talked about Dalton Kincaid. Yeah, I'm very interested in Kincaid at 61. I mean, we don't have it showing as a solid.
Sort by projection, where is he at?
Yeah, we got him a little bit too low, I'd say, for sure. I mean, then we have him projected for 7. Shakir's out. I guess we didn't talk about that at wide receiver. He just got ruled out before the show. Kincaid's like the number 1, like, and he's 6,100. This is too low. I'm sure it'll get adjusted.
Too low.
Yeah. I really like that, and you have Bowers, so you're spending at the most 6,300 probably. So it's going to be a value position. I think you have viable options, and for me personally, I really like Kincaid at 6,100.
So 63 Bowers, 62 Jake Ferguson, Sunday Night Football, coming off 2 solid games after injury, or Kincaid at 6.1.
Yeah, are you fine with the dudes even cheaper?
No,
like
I am not. Yeah, no. Yeah. I was a question to you because I mean, cheapies too.
For me, I always like Kincaid. Like he's always my guy, and Shakir is out, and the game scripts for Kincaid have been a little funky. Yeah, I think they're scoring in that game, but I don't think it's like a slam dunk. It's not a strong lean. I mean, all 3 of those guys are solid. Close. Yeah, I think it's very close. So I think all 3 are fine. And then if you want to go cheaper, you have low 5K options as well.
Yeah, multiple low 5K. Like you said, the Freiermuth on Sunday Night Football. Tucker Kraft, 18 last week. Everyone thought it was going to be Musgrave coming in the year. Tucker Kraft's the starting tight end for the Packers. That offense moves the football.
Yeah.
Just saw it last week, 9 targets. So I think he's a cheap option. And yeah, I think Kraft and I think Kraft and Fryermuth are my two favorite cheapies. So I think it's one of those three in the 6Ks or one of those two in the low 5s.
Should be a good week for cash. I mean, just talking through
it is.
This is the first week where it's like multiple routes to go. Like if you want to spend at running back, you can. If you want to go cheap at running back, you can. There's so many wide receivers in a similar price point that are playable, and then you get to tight end, and there's probably 5 viable options. So I think it should be fun. I mean, the first one for sure that there's not a ton of like absolute standout plays. So hopefully get the same thing over on DK. We're going to flip over there. We already talked about quarterback. You feel that it's pretty wide open. At this point. They still can't figure out the Jordan Mason thing. It looks like over on DraftKings, like 7,400. The workload is just, it's absolutely insane. He should clearly be 8K, 24 carries last week, 3 targets. It's just it's a dumb price tag. So I think this is maybe one of the first all right, we're just playing this guy scenarios at 74. You like Kyron Williams. If we have money to spend, I think that's fine. I did want to see what Eckler looks like over here. 5,600 if Brian Robinson Jr. is out. I mean, his game obviously fits DK scoring even better. I think he would be a priority play. And I'm kind of thinking that Brian Robinson Jr. probably sits, so we should get that value potentially. Let me sort.
We have so we have JT in. So yeah, some of this stuff's gonna change. Like JT right there is in at 7.7. Trey Sermon 5.7K will be in play.
Yeah, they got the price up there a little bit.
Yeah, for sure a little bit, but like in his range, I guess this is a good talking point. Because Jordan Mason, you're playing him in cash. I really like Kyron for 7.6. I think both of them are too cheap. And why I mentioned like the Deshaun Watsons, the Geno Smiths of the world, because I think I do want to spend up for them. But if I go 3 running backs, which is definitely in play and been what most people have done this year, you have like the cheap options. Chuba at 6.1. You talked about his role. Definitely good. But I will say Miles Sanders is involved in this offense. Like it's not just Chuba in the old white role. Miles Sanders gets a good amount of work. Chuba's been efficient though. Jerome Ford at 5.8. DeAndre Swift at 5.7. Trey Sermon at 5.7. I'm not even going to say Stevenson because the Gibson talk, you're not playing him in cash. So, I think that's pretty tough. I think Chuba's my favorite of that group. But if you need the 300 or 400, Swift is scary for sure. I think Ford maybe would be my favorite out of the bunch, but I think it'd probably be Ford or Sermon. But if you have more money to spend, I think Kenneth Walker's price at 6.8 is pretty interesting.
I really like the Walker player guy. Kenny W's on it too. Like a really good option if he's in. I assume he's in. He didn't get dinged up or anything during that game. Probably just giving it some extra rest. So if you have that, if you have 6,800 for a running back spot or flex, I really like that play.
Yeah, no, I think that for sure. And then Cam Akers is still 5.5. We can't ignore that. Like I mentioned the Sermons of the world. I mentioned Ford.
The other dude was getting work towards the end of the game. I think they finally realized that Akers just sucks.
But he's more of a pass catching back. Like they were in a close game and they were trailing, trying to if they get the lead, they don't like running Dare through the tackles as much. So I think it is more game script. Yeah, you don't need to go there though. That's the good thing. Sermon's 5.7, Ford's 5.8. You can get Walker in the spends. You can get
there's the other dude, Taylor. They're giving the Houston was giving Taylor carries at one point.
Who the fuck's Taylor?
Yeah, that's the other dude. Like he was getting I don't know how many. Let me see how many. What is his name? JJ Taylor. He got 6 carries as well. So
maybe it's not Cam Akers.
It was towards the end of the game, and I just feel like they realized, man, this Akers guy is not very good and is getting no yards per carry. So I don't know. Who knows? I mean, but yeah. One other thing to point out, our guy Go Collect. It's his birthday, so happy birthday.
Hey, happy birthday, Go Collect.
Yeah. Who the fuck is Taylor? Yeah, that's what I thought when I was watching the game and looking at all my freaking Cam Akers shares. Like, who the hell is Taylor?
Yeah, when he said JJ, I knew he was on the Pats last year. But when you just said Taylor on Houston, I had no clue JJ was on the Texans. Not good for my Dameon Pierce shares in best ball.
Yeah, no. All right, let's flip over to wide receiver. I have it sorted by value here, and DK Metcalf, 7K, showing up as the top rated value. He's kind of turning it like, I don't know. I feel like Gino in the past kind of spread it out like a little bit more and, made sure to get Lockett a little more involved. But man, you can tell now, like DK's the guy that he wants to go to. 3 big games, 14 targets 3 games ago, 12 targets last game. Game script, a little bit of a concern, obviously, at home, favored by essentially a touchdown. But like Trey Tucker, set 4,100, basically, kind of looked like the number one. He was a guy that they were looking to get involved right out of the gate last game. Obviously, he got the touchdown. Deontay Johnson showing up here, 6,100, too cheap. It seems like a position where we're just not going to get to the top end guys. Nico Collins, 77. We have Jamar Chase, 8K. Don't have CeeDee Lamb on the slate, obviously, because they didn't include the Monday night or the Sunday night. We still have Neighbors in, but he's going to be out. That's the price on Robinson, 56. I'd be fine with that. The dude got fed last game with Neighbors in. Neighbors was in, and it was just like nonstop going to those 214. Look at these numbers for Wandale. 12 targets. 4 targets, 8 and 14 targets last game. Now Neighbors is out. I think he's going to be a very, very strong option in probably a trailing game script. So probably not getting to the top end guys. It's probably Metcalf and below, and it seems like there's a lot of options here.
Yeah, I don't really know much what to add. I think you covered it perfect. That's why I'm talking Kyron, the Jordan Mason stuff. I think that's where you're spending, and I'd prefer playing a Lamar or Jaden Daniels than I would a Nico or something this week. For the same things we talked about on FanDuel, there's just mispriced guys in the 6Ks and the 5K range. DK at 7K feels mispriced. Debo at 6.8 in the highest total feels mispriced. Jaden Reed at 6.5 feels mispriced. Diggs even at 6.9, revenge game. Diggs has been absolutely money with Stroud anyway, right in the slot. His quick 8 yards, just security blanket type guy. Nico's just a grown man, too good at football, but the short routes, Diggs, 6'9", full point PPR, revenge against the Bills. I can sign up for that. Deontay Johnson at 6'1", way better on DK, good on FanDuel, way better on DK, full points. Andy Dalton was laserized on him. Jaden Reed at 6'5". I don't know if I said that. Really good on FanDuel as well, DK. Brian Thomas at 5'9", huge roll. Amari at 6'2". Zay Flowers at 6'4". All these guys are just too cheap. Why spend 1K, 1.5K more for Chase, which seems to be in, I guess, relatively similar spots than this? No, I do not think that is too much. I'd be good with that.
Yeah, projected to score a lot of points. You're, 7K for a wide receiver. That's still like a mid-tier price. And then, Kenneth Walker, 68. That's kind of like a mid-ish tier price too. So it's not like it's too premium spends. And we do have other values. So I'd be fine with it for sure.
Implied for one of the most points on the slate at 25 as well. And then, I had 2 more names I wanted to add. Wicks was absolutely one. Christian Watson is out. Dantamian Wicks, 5K, scored last week. Very talented. It just, Packers receivers, because they had 4, it was tougher to play. No Watson, Wicks, Reed, Dobbs, all get big boosts. Good call there. And then the Wandale price is really good at 5.6. Again, we'll update that. Trey Tucker, I do like your shout there. 4.1K, very much involved, tougher spot this week. And then, I don't mind Slayton as well. Whittington's the one I want to talk about again, though. And Tutu. 4.6K Whittington, Tutu 4.9K. Whittington's definitely a better play and looking like one of the more popular plays right now. And again, coming off a lot of targets. He's cheap. Stafford's looking at him a lot as wide receiver 1. I don't hate it against Green Bay, but I don't know. With Wandale and with all these other options, it feels like he's coming in higher owned than I think he should. So, there's it's very similar right now, FanDuel DK, in the sense of, spend up quarterback FanDuel, DK, multiple options. Running back, I want to spend up. Love Mason on both sides. I like Kyron a lot. The other one kind of figure out. Receiver, you're not going all the way up, but you're not going all the way down either. You're living 3 solid mid-tier or 4 mid-tier strong guys, and then we'll touch tight end. But I think that's the roster construction right now.
Yeah, so I pulled up tight end here, have it sorted by value. Zach Ertz is showing up as the top value option at 38. We have Cole Kmet, 43. Touched on Tucker Kraft, 3,500. And a lot of people thought what's the name, Musgrave would be more involved, but 9 targets last week for Kraft. I mean, he looks like the guy, 3,500, super, super cheap. Parkinson at 37, I think is viable. Where is
I think it's those two.
Okay, yeah. Touch on that.
I think you're saving because we're not full punting wide receiver.
Yeah.
Running back, we like some spends. I'd rather not play Deshaun Watson this week. I think he's in play, but if I could upgrade, like give me the upgrade at quarterback and give me Kraft or Parkinson, then Brock Bowers or Evan Ingram.
Yeah.
And then Watson or something like that.
I think that that other tier is probably a little more. It's definitely more in play on FanDuel than it is here. I mean, just to get to Bow, I mean, $2,000 difference. I mean, you're Tucker going down from Bowers to Kraft, $2,000 in salary. I mean, you can do a lot. You're going from one of those 5K quarterbacks up to Jaden Daniels, and then you're upgrading a Cam Akers to a
pretty much Lamar. It's pretty much Lamar and Kraft against Deshaun Watson and and Bowers. It's got to be the Lamar Kraft side.
No brainer, I think. Yeah, so you're going cheap.
How about I will say again, Tremble is out.
Oh man, who's the next in line there? It is.
You know what I do?
Sanders,
right to the stone.
Sanders. Let's see. He's 2,500 full punt.
Yeah,
if he's the guy.
And again, that's where I'd rely on projections. Like if Kraft and Parkinson still project way better, like just run the Shiptimizer dry run like we always talked about. See stuff like that. Yeah, if Tremble's out, I think this Sanders guy is probably in play. He already was playing 44% of snaps. Man, the stone is so good. That new addition.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah. No, I think that 1K could go long enough from Kraft where I think Sanders.
Another thing is it's like you're playing a full punt at even at 3,500. I mean, that's a punt price tag. You can get by with those guys doing absolute jack shit in cash games and sometimes in tournaments, depending on the tournaments you're in. Like you don't. We always say, and it remains true, and especially for cash games. Again, it like. Make sure if you're going all the way down there that you're getting a substantial upgrade. You're not getting like a lateral move. You're getting like, all right, I'm going up to a next tier player in terms of projections, their role sort of thing. So you can definitely get by with these guys doing absolutely nothing in cash games. So that is definitely one thing to note. And I wouldn't mind fully punting if need be. In terms of
one more thing to add on that, and it almost only applies to me at the tight end position because it's the one-off position that's absolutely awful, and they have lowered their min price to 2,500 at tight end, 3K at receiver, 4K at running back. So taking a 4K running back that's going to get you 0, not optimal at a position that can break the slate. When the highest scoring legit tight end could be 10 points, that's when a 0 at min price gets you. All of that is the thought process there.
Certainly. Haven't touched on it, but if you guys haven't done so yet, please hit the like and subscribe. All this video and all our videos are free. The best way to keep them free is definitely to hit the like and subscribe. We appreciate all the support within the YouTube community over the course of the last year and a half. So love the momentum there. If you guys could hit the like and subscribe, we would greatly appreciate it. Don't spend a ton of time on defense. Typically want to get out of the position as cheap as possible. Just looking at some of these options here, I have it sorted by value. Houston, Cleveland, the Colts. I kind of like that Colts at 26 for cash. Packers, I kind of like that at 3K. At first glance, I'd probably just try to get one of those, I guess. I mean, I'm not going to be picky, and we always talk about it. It's like you get out of the position as cheap as possible. I'm fine with something at the top of the list, I guess, long story short. Oh, twice. Damn. That is not title-esque right there.
I think Panthers at 2-4, the second cheapest on the slate, are fine against Cale Williams and that awful offensive line. And then it looks like the highest I'd probably go is Broncos against Minshew, Devontae Adams-less Raiders that do not look good.
Where are the what's the price tag?
4,900.
Yeah, that's fine. Why is it not? Am I missing
Switch
them
backs.
here? We got them all. We got them. That's a low number. Yeah, their projection should be.
Our projections got that's gonna we gotta make a note on that.
Yeah, that's definitely too low. So yeah, I'd be totally fine with that. But again, it's not a priority position. I'll flip to FanDuel real quick and see, because sometimes I'd say sometimes there are more standout defense plays for cash games on FanDuel opposed to
Panthers still all the way down there, 3-1, almost min.
Yeah, that's solid. Commanders 35 definitely stands out.
I like that too.
Yeah,
Against
that's
Watson
solid.
Turnovers, I like that. Those two.
Panthers 31, like you talked about. Totally fine with that. Yeah, so you'll be able to get out of the position cheap on FanDuel. But any final thoughts? Again, after talking through it all, it seems like the most wide open week for cash games, and hopefully it remains that way. Hopefully we don't get something that steers everyone in one direction. It's a lot more fun when there's more options and more viable roster builds where people aren't training up and having these big massive trades and these contests. I think this is the first week where we could see some different routes.
Amen to that, man. Amen. There's nothing worse than no one wants to play 1v1s, 2v2s. It's that's when cash games absolutely die. So and I think we talked. It's definitely a wide open week, but I think we did a great job. I liked how we just did FanDuel and then DK. I think similar to an extent. Like I like spending ups for running back right now, especially Mason, Kyron, two of my favorites. I don't love spending up receiver. I think we broke it down really good. Spend or saving tight end on DK, and if stuff changes, the cash core that's always up Saturday afternoon. 4 on DK, 4 on FanDuel. We talk Sunday morning as well. A lot of stuff. If any random news breaks, Robinson is out. The Sunday show, we'll touch a lot on Eckler. You'll see on the Stone how we have him. You'll see his projection, everything as well. So, I'm fingers crossed, man. This looks like a good cash week.
Yep. Make sure to obviously get over to SHIPITNation.com. Like we said, 4 cores for FanDuel, 4 cores for DraftKings, updated all the way through lock and inactives on Sunday. So we'd love to have you on our team. Get on over to SHIPITNation.com. Again, we appreciate all your support in this video. We'll be back next week for the Week 6 cash game breakdown.